Hello, Torchlight fans. Thanks so much for joining us here today on our second official live stream. A quick round of introductions. I'm Jared, the Perfect World Community Manager. With me here is Tyler, the Extra Project Lead on Torchlight Frontiers. Yay, yay! What's up, chat? So, we've got some really cool stuff to show you guys today. We're going to be talking about our new frontier that we recently announced. We showed a little bit of teasers about, which is the Hyvid Frontier. Yep. And also, of course, you're all interested in horizontal progression, which is going to be the primary topic of today.
Yep.
So cool. Let us know how everything sounds, everything looks. Hopefully it's a lot better than the PAX stream, where there was a lot of commotion and everything was just absolutely insane there. But yeah, cool. Second stream, a little bit better production value. You can see we've got this nice forest behind us. Yeah, look at it. Ooh. Oh, nice. Yeah. All right, cool. So Tyler, if you wouldn't mind just giving us a little bit of overview about what we're going to see today.
Yeah, today we're going to talk about horizontal progression. It's one of our big changes we're wanting to make to action RPG genre, to really take our game from kind of being a chapter-based box product type of thing into service, something that we can keep adding to and changing and improving over the years, and always offering something new and exciting for you guys to enjoy. And so horizontal progression sits at the center of making that work. We recently had the GameSpot guys come over and visit. We talked about horizontal progression for a few hours with them. They did a talk about it on Friday. We did a big post in Reddit going into more detail about how and why, and then here we are today to answer your questions and talk even more about it.
Awesome. Good stuff. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in. All right. Look at this, production value. All right, so I have this pre-made character here. Yep. Yeah, and let's take a look at this guy. So I do prefer the Dusk Mage. I think this is much more fun, so we're going to be looking at a little bit of Dusk Mage today, and then later, if we need to. Oh, Tyler's mic is really distorted.
Okay.
Let's see. Here we go. We've got these fancy little lav mics there. Hopefully that'll do it.
All
right, it's pointing up more. Thanks for letting us know. And they're also commenting on your snazzy hat there, too.
Oh, great. Yeah, it's a fun hat.
All right, sweet. So the first thing real quick is I want to show off Rarities. We'll just get that one out of the way. Of course, this is pretty standard, so you guys can see here, the one I'm cursoring over, this is a normal quality item. So it has one line of stats.
Yep.
The second one is a magic quality item, has 2 lines of stats. Next one is a rare quality item, has 3 lines of stats. The next one is the legendary, which has 4 lines of stats.
And we have more differences than just how many stats. Each of these has some bigger numbers, but also the legendaries. When we've done our job working our way through the legendaries, we'll have unique affixes on them that we have designed and tried to make as an inspiration for a new style of play or a different way of thinking about the game, by pushing the numbers in different directions or even offering things you wouldn't be able to see on regular items. So
sweet.
These are still kind of where we are today, but you also will start seeing affixes on the rares and the magic ones that you would never see on a normal, or sometimes things on rare that wouldn't show up on a magic. There's going to be a wide variety of items available, and they're all about trying to feed into different strategies of play.
Oh, okay. I think we're having a little bit of mic issues, yeah.
Well, I'll move it further down.
Okay. Thanks for letting us know, folks.
Yep. About that.
All right.
Okay.
That one might be a little too low. Let's put it up a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
All right,
move it up to the E.
Yep.
There we go.
We tested everything earlier, and it was working fine. And of course, now that we go live, technical difficulties. All right.
All right.
Cool. So let's take a look at this gear set that I had pre-made for this character. It's pretty sweet. Actually, here, let's see if we can do a little bit more production value. Boom! Check that out. All right, we're zoomed in now. So this is an entire set from the Goblin Frontier, right? So the Frontier is basically a biome for like each of the different areas.
Each of these frontiers, and kind of at the center of talking about horizontal progression is this idea that there are several different frontiers in the game, and each one of them has its own item progression, its own power curve that you're working your way through. And the way you kind of know where you are in that power curve, and the way that you advance a lot of the way through that power curve is through your items and what level those items are. So he spawned up some level 21 items with the affixes that we have today. And it shows kind of like where it could get with the power of those items.
Awesome. So let's go ahead and jump into one of the frontiers. Here we go. Production value. Very nice. Awesome. So one of the things that we can show here is we're in the Goblin Frontier. In the top right, you guys can see what level this zone is, right? So it says 21 to 22, and it's fire.
Right.
Cool. Good stuff. And then we can check our gear, which is, I dropped this gear from this
so
this
it's
level.
all level 21 gear. It's the kind of stuff you would have found if you were there playing on that level.
Excellent. Cool. And so if we were to travel through here further, All right, Windows, there we go. If we were to travel through this zone a little bit more, then we may be seeing level 22 gear as well, level 21 to 22. Awesome. Okay.
And you might even see level 23 or 24 if you're lucky. Like we do sometimes bump up the level of the item when it drops if you've got a good roll.
Sweet. So we're going to switch frontiers now. The way that the scaling works, we can show this off.
Yeah.
We're going to go to a lower level Goblin Frontier and we're going to show how the scaling on the gear works. So we do have some pretty high level Goblin Gear.
Yes, we're using cheats.
You saw the cheats? Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It just makes it easier for us. All right. So now in the top right, we can see that this is level 9 to 10.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And our gear, you can see scales down. And now it says 11 out of 21.
Right. So what we've done is you're in the same frontier of where you were. It's still the Goblin Frontier, and you've just kind of gone back to an earlier level. So what we've done is we've kind of capped out the power of your items. So you're still powerful. You're still dominating compared to when you first would have entered this area, but you aren't like one-shotting the boss with an area effect damage. You're actually having to play the game some and kind of focus on what skills to use when to some degree. And because of that, because we have adjusted your level and your power some, we're also able to reward you for your time here. Because if you were just kind of strolling through with everything dying in one shot, then we couldn't do things like drop gold for you and skill points and stuff at the same rate. So we want to reward you for your time no matter where you're playing. And so even if you go back to an earlier level to play with one of your buddies and experience an area that you played before, we still will give you the gold, the skill points, the resources, and stuff just like if you're playing anywhere else.
Cool. And you can see here that even though we're in a lower level area and I have higher level gear, I'm still running through these guys. It's scaled down,
right,
but they're doing like no damage to me.
Yeah.
And also I have a full set of rares. You can see, like I'm just taking hits here.
Yeah.
And we're doing just
But he's not like one-shotting these brutes. He's not doing an area effect and all the brutes just die all at once. But he's certainly not, he's doing a lot faster than when he would have come through here first with level 8 gear.
For sure.
And so that's one way we scale items within a frontier to encourage you and let you play against other monsters that are lower level.
Goblin Harassment, yeah. So here's another set that I had pre-made, also from the Goblin Frontier, and this is all level 1 gear.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can see this is not scale up.
Right.
So if I go fight these guys, I might end up getting bodied.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Because this is like a level 9, level 10 area. I'm still going to try to survive.
But you can notice he's hitting these Goblin Soldier level monsters, just the stabbies and the gunners, and
I have it's all rares. I have a lot of resistances.
He has rare items, but they're level 1. He's way out of his league on what stuff. And when they start hitting him,
see, there we go.
You're going to see
the
just
okay.
plummeting.
Okay.
And these aren't the tough guys. These are the ones you should be killing with area effect.
Area effect, you say? Okay.
Still too strong, Mike, they say. So move it down some more.
Okay. Here, we can turn it down a little bit too if I need to.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
Well, still too strong? Okay.
How about this? Hopefully that's better.
Yeah.
And then you guys, we're showing that, basically the level of your gear matters. Yes, you have a variety of skills. Yes, you get some power with those skills and versatility and a whole bunch of different ways to take on different kinds of monsters. But ultimately, the raw power comes from the items themselves.
Yeah. And we can see I had a lot of resistances, a lot of Goblin Resist on that level 1 set.
Right.
And so they were crunching me, but I still had like a lot of fire resist on there. And so when they were hitting me with fire attacks, it wasn't doing too much. But then when I wasn't doing much damage to them.
So people are asking about how we're switching out outfits. We're still talking about how to do that. Like right now, we've got this UI that lets you switch whole loadouts out there where you're playing. We've got some debates about whether that's the right way to go or not. So there's a good chance I'm going to just turn that off. But we're still wanting to make it convenient and easy to change out your gear and have multiple sets of gears stored separately and available separately, so that you can when you switch between frontiers, that you can switch to the appropriate gear for that frontier without having to go into your stash every time and organize it. So
nice.
We will find ways to make it convenient. It may not be this specific layout.
Cool. All right. So let's take a look at more of the statistics that are on these items. So you can see a lot of the Goblin Gear provides fire resist. And also we've got some really fun stuff like critical hit chance. There's more health, of course, to help you survive. Loot luck, that's got to be the best one. Mana regen, etc. These weapons have ice damage on them, and they have a chance to knock back. And ooh, health on killing a Hyvid, that's nice. So if we switch over here, this is probably the same stuff, a little bit of Goblin defense, because we got these from the Goblin Frontier. And we have a third set here that is from the Hyvid Frontier. Yeah, this is a mid-tier, like a mid-level. So these are level 5 items. And so let's look at how the scaling works for the Hyvid gear in the Goblin Frontier. So this is 9 to 10.
Yep.
Right. So if we use our high-level Goblin gear, then it scales it up. It scales it down to 11, even though it's max 21. And then we can go to the Hyvid gear, which is level 5 in and of itself. And so it doesn't look like it's scaling up or down. Right now it's level 5.
It's already too low for this area, so we don't have to cap it out. But why don't we take some of this stuff, why don't we head over to the Hyvid area and start playing over there? Because we've seen a lot of Goblin, and boy, I know I've spent a lot of time crushing Goblins in the last couple of years. And I'm excited about and enjoy the new area, being able to play against those bugs.
Nice. Take a look at some of the concept art here. Very nice. The Hyvids are looking pretty snazzy. We had a post go out this morning about the flyers. The Hyvids are really fun, too. I always like being in a cave. I feel like that just feels good in a Torchlight game. That's kind of what the Hyvid colony feels like.
Yeah, they have some underground cave areas as well as these outdoor areas. So there, we have a few different types of outdoor stuff. It's going to be quite a variety of creepy, gross places.
Nice.
In fact, one of our big things with having multiple frontiers is that we actually want each of these areas to have a different feel and style and kind of emotion that it brings about. And so for the Hyvid area, we want it to feel gross. We want it to be just kind of like bugs and gross stuff and everywhere. We also want it to feel more dangerous than, say, in the Goblin area. So you've got a lot more hazards, a lot more poison stuff coming after you. You can see he's fighting against these egg pod things. They're shooting eggs out, making larvae. We've got insects that are flying around with ranged attacks. There's just kind of a whole nother set of monsters and style of play. This whole place is about poison. Your popcorn monsters are these little larva guys that leave a poison trail behind them, so even if you take them out, you still gotta kind of be careful not to leave behind, like run right over them. These hazards hurt a lot.
Hazards, yeah, that's
like
great. Here's some poison resist.
Some poison resist shrines that are around.
Okay.
You almost killed yourself on that. We probably need to nerf the hazards, but they are real. They're not just flavor.
Sprint through that. That does a lot of damage. All right.
Yeah.
But it's totally avoidable, all right?
Yeah, you can avoid it. It's just you gotta watch out for the hazards.
All right, that's fun.
And there's still resources. You can see there's some rock stuff here. There's still like a lot of the pieces that you saw in the Goblin areas.
Nice. So this is the level 1 to 2 area. And I have level 5 gear, and it's scaling it down to level 3, which is above.
Right. So he's basically this character is essentially is played past where you are, has higher level gear, and we've just brought it back down again, just like we did in the Goblin area, so that you have some cap on your power here, and you're still playing, you're still earning things, but it's easier because you do have things above the level of the monsters.
Nice. And then when we check out this Goblin gear,
right,
it's scaled down to 1.
Right. Well, I mean, it's still viable. You can still run around with this Goblin gear. You can still attack with it. It still has stats that somewhat matter, especially the damage stuff. Some of the armor is not going to be as effective, but some of the other things are. But you're gonna keep seeing items drop that are going to encourage you to switch which items you have.
Nice. So we're hopping into a little bit of a higher level zone now for the Hyvid Frontier. So this is going to be 5 to 6. So let's see, the Hyvid gear that I have is level 5. So it's designed for this. So here we go, level 5. And then the Goblin gear is scaled to 4. So it's 1 level below instead of being 1 level above.
So some people are asking some good questions on the stream here. Like one thing was like, how is the caps for the level caps for the items being calculated and stuff? And in general, we actually have the ability on a per area basis to change where those boundaries are. But in general, we're trying to keep it where if you have something from another frontier, you're just below the monsters. And if you have something in the frontier from a higher level, you're just above the monsters. There's some exceptions to that, some really important ones. For instance, if you're going up against one of the big bosses here in the Hyvid, and you bring your Goblin Gear over, we don't want you to have your level 30 Goblin, like your really high level Goblin weapon, brought over here and just be one level below that boss. Because that's still pretty much using that other Frontier's item quite effectively against the boss. So we'll probably, in some places, move that lower limit even lower.
Cool. All right. I think we should just go ahead and cruise around the Hyvid area here. If you guys have any questions about anything about what you're seeing in the Hyvid Frontier or about the gear scaling, definitely ask them in chat. We're going to try to get to as many of these as we can. And again, just to reiterate, GameSpot did a really cool article on all of this, so be sure to check that out. They posted it on Friday. And also, we had a Reddit post that explains a lot of this in great detail from Jordan. So be sure to check out Torchlight, our Torchlight. It's torchlight.reddit.com or reddit.com/r/torchlight.
So I've seen some good questions here in the chat. One person's asking about like why, is there a reason to become strong across all the frontiers, or is there kind of, and they kind of imply are there goals that are across all the frontiers? There's things related. There's a couple pieces related to that. So your skills actually help you across all the frontiers. So achieving and gaining those skills is going to be helpful no matter where you go. Also, there's but the actual item power levels are not necessarily going to be helpful across the frontiers. The items themselves are something you'll want to collect as a separate collection, a separate challenge, a separate thing you want to advance in each frontier.
Nice.
But the idea here is that when you're playing through this frontier, many players will probably play from the beginning through to the end of it. They may switch to another frontier, but generally you're going to keep that set going probably from session to session. And although I see some people worried about, like, am I going to have to change gear every couple levels or all the time? We're not routing you. We're not making the game say, oh, you're fighting goblins. No, real quick, go fight some bugs. Now go back and fight the goblins. Now go back and fight the bugs. You can do that. You can make those changes. But in general, you can just keep playing through the same area and keep getting new items as you go.
Sweet. It looks like we got an item dropper here, too. Let's check this thing out. Reinforced gauntlets. Nice. Okay, so I have all rare gear.
Let's see. There's a bunch of good questions going on. So the other thing to ask about, like, there is a lot of advancement that goes on in each frontier that just helps in account level. There's a lot of these resources like gold, skill points, wood, stone, things that are useful in your fort, useful in your crafting stuff, useful across the whole count. That really doesn't change. Cool. It's still saying I'm loud, so I'm going to keep moving the microphone down. Okay. It'll be down on my shoes soon. And then, so there's definitely that's true. But what's also true is that, like, there is, it may be you find a way of playing the game that you really enjoy. There might be a frontier or that we've either made as a challenge for you or as it has the content that you like that you'll spend more time in. And there's nothing stopping you from just hanging out there and focusing on that and not do the other ones. But if you're looking for a change and you're looking for something else to do, or if you really love that outfit, that helmet, that stuff that another frontier has, there's a reason to go to that other frontier. Additionally, we're going to have some content that will be unlocked from resources that are in specific frontiers or in specific places in the game, and we will encourage you through that to go play that frontier, even if you're like thinking about your main character and your main frontier you're interested in. Excellent. So we will spread some rewards out throughout the game to say, go back to Hyvid, go back to that boss, go back and get some of that cool stuff.
And there is some crossover with it too. I think one of my items here had, so this is a Goblin Frontier Digitus, and it has health on killing a Hyvid. Mm-hmm. So it does encourage you to continue using this weapon.
Oh yeah, there's going to be mechanics and dynamics that are specific to each frontier. I mean, one of the exciting, cool things about having this horizontal content is that for each frontier, we can kind of introduce new mechanics, introduce new ways the monsters fight, new ways that you can counter what they do, and all of that, and that all can be largely contained within that frontier. But I say largely contained because you still could, in theory, if you have, like, if we say we have an element or have a type of armor with an affix that you really liked in one frontier, you can still carry it to the other frontier. It won't be as powerful as the one you got it in, but it still exists and can still play into your build. He's still getting crit chance when he's wearing something from another frontier. It's just a smaller crit chance, and you might find a better crit chance item here with the Hyvid. But But that doesn't mean you can't or shouldn't bring your crit chance items to here.
Sweet.
Let's see, we've got lots of questions about a lot of general things about the game. There's some people asking about pets. There's people asking about consoles and stuff. Let me ask about just answer some general stuff, some of which we've announced, but some people are asking about. One, everyone's hearing some awesome music. That music is coming from Matt Ullman. He is composing for our game. He's been making some great stuff.
Awesome.
We have plans on going on console. We have announced Xbox One and PlayStation 4. We have not announced dates for that. We've said it's coming after PC, and we've said for PC that it's in 2019. We have pets. We probably might notice that since the last builds we've shown that there's new little house button up next to the pet. That's kind of obvious for many Torchlight fans of being a way to send your pet back to town to sell your items. We have plans and dreams and hopes of doing many more things with pets, but we have not done all the things we'd want to do yet. But regardless, we are maintaining the idea of having pets. The pets still have an inventory you can put stuff into, and you can still send them to town to sell your stuff. Those things are fundamental to the Torchlight experience, and so that's definitely there. But there's some other ideas we have we want to do to enhance and grow it and make this more of a notion of maybe collecting pets and acquiring pets as opposed to just thinking of it being your character with its one pet for its whole life. Mm-hmm. So,
cool. So this is again just a pre-alpha build. We only have 2 classes available right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Dusk Mage and the Forge, which you saw a lot of the Forge gameplay at Gamescom and PAX West, and I'm playing the Dusk Mage right now. And we do have Forge that I can show off too in a little bit. That's not going to be it. Of course, it's an RPG.
Yeah, we'll announce other classes when it comes time to do that.
Yeah, so definitely stay tuned.
But when you're talking about classes and looking at the Dusk Mage, I want to point out this guy's outfit once he gets to somewhere safe.
All right, safe enough.
Safe enough. You notice that all this armor that he has gotten here in this frontier, is all bugged out. It has made of carapaces from the monsters he's been fighting. He's got an antenna coming off of him. You know, he's got like little spiky things on his legs. The shoulders look like they come with bug parts. And we're continuing this idea throughout the game that we have this notion of what's it like to be the Dusk Mage spellcasting guy with bug stuff on. And so when you play in the bug area, you're going to find that unique and different looking armor wherever you go. That house, somebody's asking about the house icon in the corner. By the way, that I believe was made by one of our programmers. It's by definition programmer art in our game, and hopefully replaced someday. But it is the button to send your pet back to town to sell your stuff.
Yep.
And so we will be working on, we have that working, and we'll keep replacing icons as we go.
So there's an insane amount of things happening right now. I'm noticing that these guardians, these pods are spawning eggs.
Oh yeah.
And then the guardians are evolving the eggs.
Yeah, they're spraying the eggs and turning them into full-fledged like soldiers or shooters.
That's insane.
So they are taking what usually is your little popcorny, easy to kill larva things and upgrading them into much more challenging monsters. And so there's this whole life cycle going on between the different monsters in the Hyvid. And so there's various ways to try to beat this. You could try to stop the egg pod, which I think, as I look today and lately, needs a lot more hit points. And
the guardians are pretty tough.
And the guardians themselves are pretty tough.
Yeah.
And so you could stop the guardians. You could try to stop the egg pods. You could try to start the larvae before they show up.
Nice.
But all around, there's kind of a different dynamic and cycle and style of play going on between those here.
That's a really fun dynamic.
Yeah,
it got crazy there.
It's made for more of like an isolated puzzle challenge thing to do. If there's no guardians nearby, there's no reason you have to rush to take out that egg pod thing because they're not going to upgrade. So that's sort of thing.
Sweet.
Any auto pick?
Awesome mechanic indeed. So.
Yeah. Somebody's asking about whether there's auto pickup options for pets and players. So we don't right now have like the kind of extensive options some other games have for what things are labeled, what things you auto pick up, or what things your pet might pick up. Those are things we've talked about and might do someday. But we do have some categories of items that just auto pick up all the time because there's no reason you wouldn't want to pick them up.
Like a health potion, right?
Like health potions, gold, stone, wood, things like that. So people keep asking about WASD controls. I'm really torn about WASD controls. The more ways we give to interface to play with the game, the more like bugs and issues we have to deal with to make sure they all feel good. I do have a programmer who's passionate about it and has started work on that, so it might be that we'll get it in. but I am worried about whether we can get it to the quality we need it to be.
Yeah, if you're not a fan of point and click, you can definitely just plug in a controller, and you can move from there.
Somebody's asking about turning off depth of field, a rather specific technical graphics option. And I think there's a few things related to that I'll talk about. One is that in general, our kind of fog and lighting controls are still early. There's still some changes we want to make here, and we'll be tweaking those things probably till the end of time, till I have grandchildren. But in specific, like some of these areas, especially in the Hyvid areas, are a little bit too blurry and fuzzy for our taste as well. So we'll hopefully be able to adjust that to where we're happy with it too. And then whether or not you'll have controls to change that, I'm not sure yet, but I think my first goal would be to make sure it's something that we're happy and proud of by default, and that you wouldn't feel like you had to turn it on and off.
Any time frame on beta, Zatori?
So beta. So everyone's anxious to play, and hey, we're all game players. We're seeing a game, somebody's having fun playing. We want to get our hands on ourselves, and that is totally understandable. And I really feel that we are. I can say with confidence that we are doing everything we can to get things ready for people to play from home. We are actively talking through the list of things that have to change and be fixed and ready to be at that place. But we're not ready to announce a date or time as to when that's going to happen. I still wake up at night in a terror about the things we still have left to do. I still want to, there's still so many things we want to fix and change. We look at the time between now and when we plan on having it out, and we're always just in a panic of whether we're going to get the right things done or all the things done we want. So we are also obsessing and thinking about this, but I'm not ready to say a date yet. We're not ready to announce it yet. But we are actively focused on that now. We're not just kind of plowing forward and having an alpha shortly before launch. We're planning to do something early and compared to what we would like. Oh, here's the Phase Beast.
Oh, I gotta catch him.
Get the Phase Beast.
Oh, okay, I got it.
Sweet.
Can I enter that?
Yes, you can. We can go to Phase Beast. So Phase Beasts are a rare drop monster, rare spawning monster that, as you can see here in the video, actually opens a portal to a MapWorks area. That was not planned. We did not spawn it. But then you could see before he went in and after he got in the upper right corner, that there are modifiers on this level because of it being in MapWorks. No, it's not a cow level. And somebody said cow level. I was one of the first people to be grinding cow levels. And then,
Me too, man, all the time.
No, I mean in development while we were still trying to figure out what is this thing. But anyway,
way ahead of the game.
Yeah, way ahead, way before anyone else.
Buckle there.
Yes, and so my Diablo 2 belt buckle on. So what you can see in the upper right corner is that there are some modifiers on this level, this MapWorks level that we're playing, that we not only might change what monsters are spawning there and what kinds of things you're fighting against, but also some things that make, for instance, all the monsters here are toxic and lethal. Toxic meaning that they spawn these poison pools, which I'm happy to see isn't totally destroying the frame rate, and they're lethal in that they do double damage. But on the flip side, he's also got items dropping one level above the level of the monster, so you're getting better rewards, and you're having a luck bonus, which means you're going to get more items dropping and kind of sometimes even better level items dropping, depending upon what gear you've got for luck.
There's a day and night cycle, right? And it's displayed here in the
top
right.
But the day and night, since you're inside, you're in the caves right now. Day and night doesn't matter much. It's going to feel like night the whole time.
We were seeing some skellies out there in the overworld too, once it hit nighttime. So that's pretty sweet.
Somebody was saying that it said hardcore. Yes, we have so someone's very observant that before we went in here, it said it was going to be a hardcore MapWorks level. And they're like, what's hardcore in this game and what's going on with that? Okay, so one, we had a bug that recently got fixed, but not before this build. That the portal was telling you one set of things, but when you got there, it did a whole different set of things. So this is not a hardcore one. Our current take on doing hardcore, which can change and might change, but has met with some fun and excitement amongst our team, is that they're...
Okay, sorry.
Now we're running into a legendary.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Now he's running into a big monster with lots of stuff on it.
Okay, here we go. I have good gear though.
You almost died because you ran through that poison.
It's okay.
We're good. So, hardcore. We've got a couple of things that are in the hardcore space. We talked to the big GameSpot guys about it, and they described some too. There's two things that go together to make a dungeon hardcore for us. One thing is that you are getting life-bound items. So you're seeing on the screen here, I'm pointing on the screen like anyone could see me pointing. Anyway, there are some of these items are labeled as life-bound. And life-bound means that when you die, that item goes away. Whether you're wearing it or not, if it's in your backpack or if it's in one of your gear sets and you've got it and you die, it's gone. The second part that makes this whole dungeon hardcore is that when you die in that dungeon, you would restart back in town. You don't get to restart right there at that place. So the combination of losing your life-bound items and going back to town is what we're calling hardcore right now. Somebody's saying, thanks for the enemy health bars. Yes, that was a fun Friday project I did. It's awesome. We're excited about it. It's definitely made it where you know more about what you've done there in the combat and that your AoEs have hit properly and all that stuff.
Yep.
So, yes, as FBTW Gaming points out, life-bound items are pretty easy if you just never die. In general, we have two parts to those life-bound items. Sometimes you're in a place that just everything's lifebound. But a lot of times we've added these notion of phasic items, so it says phasic in the front of that item, and that means that Sean has designed this to be a stronger item because it's lifebound.
I see.
So not only is it lifebound, but it's better than another level 6 magic set of boots would be. The physical defense is higher, it's stronger, and so although you're taking a risk carrying that around when you would die or could die, you get some more powerful stuff.
Yeah, I wonder if the stat increase is better. It's a one level higher, even though these are only magic compared to the rare that I have equipped.
Yeah.
The stats are better.
Yeah, in this case, it's kind of a question of how much do you think you're fighting undead versus the bugs lately, because it's mostly physical defense that you're getting from it, and the other one's more about Hyvid defense. So that's we don't have all elements in all places. I really do prefer for players to have a more limited game to try to figure out of whether they're doing poison or fire or physical or whatnot. So here in the Hyvid areas, it's all about poison and physical. So these arrows that are coming at you from these archers are physical, but they've got poison pools below them and stuff like that.
And I have really high poison resist and poison duration reduction too.
Right.
So it's not staying on that long. If I didn't have the insane rare gear that I had, I'd probably be getting wrecked in here.
But back to the hardcore, the kind of hardcoreness of these lifebound items is a way of players. Some players are uncomfortable with having a full-fledged hardcore character, and this is a way of kind of flirting with playing hardcore, where you're doing a little bit of risk. There's still some consequences of death, but it's not like you're going to lose your whole character. You're not going to lose everything you've done. You're just going to lose some of the items that you've decided to carry around that are lifebound.
Nice. So you can kind of dip your toe in the water and see if you like it, and then take that risk for a little bit of a higher stats on some of your gear. If you think that you can kind of rock.
If you can rock and handle it. And it's even possible, and we've been playing with, going back to the bigger topic we've been talking about, of horizontal progression and this idea of having different frontiers with different rules and different sets of items. We've even been playing with making frontiers that are really to be a challenge for players that are looking for something hard to do and they're a big challenge. One way we can make one of those frontiers a challenge is to make sure that every item that drops there is life-bound. And that way, if you're playing in that area, it's kind of like being in a hardcore frontier where your progress could be lost because you die. So this whole notion of the horizontal progress and having different frontiers with different rules and different items and progression allows us to do tricks like that.
I am very overwhelmed here. It's making for probably a pretty interesting stream. It's really fun.
He's
focusing intensely.
Yeah, he's having to worry about not dying. So we are looking for those ways for somebody to challenge themselves, to try something else, try something different. And this is also something we can turn on and off and add and change. We can design a new frontier using existing areas, maybe existing monsters, but with different rules and challenges to it, so that you can have that new progression and new stuff that you bring into it. Whether you want to bring a whole new character in or one that has skills already from having played other places.
Very nice, very nice. So speaking of more challenging content, you mentioned there was a boss that we might be able to show
Yeah, it would
off?
probably
All
good.
right.
Is this the right time to switch to the boss fight?
We can.
Okay,
let me see about killing this elite.
Yeah, see if we can kill this elite.
He's so fast. He has a lot of health.
Yeah.
I can't let.
This going into a phase.
Unleashing him.
So for people who just showed up, we've gone into Mapworks Dungeon because we killed a phase beast. and he gave us this random rolled place that's kind of off the beaten path, that you've gotten off the tracks, and now you're like playing in a level that is not specifically designed, but has all this random stuff about it and its own kind of benefits and challenges. And then what's also cool about those places is that they have these lifebound items, Phasic Items that go away when you die and have higher traits.
Nice.
How will spells be unlocked if there's no character levels? That's a great question. So we have a broad answer we're giving in that when you might notice as he's running around that he's picking up skill points. These are these kind of, right now at least, they're these little particles that are like this yellow thing in the world that swirls around and gets picked up. And he's got a total of 1,647.
I'm a cheater.
Yeah, these are the things you will spend to get skills. And that way, you can spend those on specific skills to give to your character. Regardless of where you play, you'll be picking up skill points, and you can earn those skills that are useful, broadly useful across all the frontiers in the game.
There's a named mob here. Shri.
So some people are asking if there's a boss fights or boss areas. Let's go ahead and actually show one of those.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's go ahead and go that. Are there endless dungeons and stuff like that? I think these map works, this idea of being able to reuse an area that you've played in before with different rules and different mechanics on it, is kind of our take on endless dungeon. It's our way of letting you keep going to higher and higher level monsters that you're fighting, but without necessarily being like next floor. But we're gonna at least have like some objects in your fort that'll let you go into some randomly generated places that adjust to your item level and let you kind of keep advancing up the levels even outside the main kind of quest progression.
Nice.
People are asking a lot if there's a support class. I love playing support. When I play Overwatch and when I play Here's the Storm and when I play lots of games, I tend to play the support class myself, so I have a deep passion and love for having that role. I will say in an action RPG, it's going to be more about providing tools and skills that might be available to all classes or to many classes to allow you to fill that support role, but it may not be, it's unlikely that we would have a class that is just support, being that most action RPGs, people approach them heavily as a kind of a solo game with other players that you sometimes join, as opposed to reliably multiplayer that you're always in a pack. And so because of that, we tend to bias it where you will be able to hang out on your own and be able to play largely without being focused on support. But sometimes you can bring in things that help and could do support.
Nice. And we did see one of those skills in the Gamescom and PAX West demo too. The name is escaping me, but it was a big circle.
Consecration puts a circle in the ground that increases the damage of all players in that circle and gives an even bigger bonus to the Dusk Mage for when there's more players in that circle. So
nice.
So some people are asking about, we're talking about skills and stuff. There are definitely skills that you purchase that are class specific, that are, especially a lot of these active skills you see, the things he's clicking and doing that are from the class, but we also have skills like passive skills and possibly other ones someday that might be shared between classes. And so although the active skills really do define the class, so they are class specific. I mean, being able to do all this blasty stuff is what makes it a Dusk Mage. There are still going to be passive skills that we can share between them.
All right, we're ready to check out this boss?
So here we have a boss fight that we haven't shown before. We've shown little pieces of it in videos. Don't die before you go.
I know, I made that mistake too many times.
So we're gonna go up against Kronk. So I'm gonna step back and let Kronk kind of do his thing.
Awesome. Hey, all right. I have not beat this boss yet.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
He's gotten a preview of it, but this is only his second time to see it.
I got crunched before.
Yeah.
Too.
Just like this is similar to our other boss battle in that we like to start out with you and the boss to let you kind of understand some of the boss's specific mechanics, have a little chance to make some good progress without having to worry about other things, and then we start to crank it up. We turn on the poison pools. We somebody's hilarious in the thing. It's like, someone pull the lever, and then no, do the other lever. It's hilarious. Yeah, no. So you're seeing now he's having to deal with not only the boss himself, but with all these ads, these additional bugs that are showing up and fighting. And like any boss fight, it should be kind of a culmination of both learning how to deal with the monsters you've fought along the way, and now having to have some new challenges that you may not have seen before.
And so my gear is kind of interesting too. I'm a little bit under-leveled, but I do have all rares, so I have tons of poison resist and tons of Hyvid resist.
And he's playing quite well. That's the other thing we've noticed at PAX and other shows and stuff, when people are playing, that there is kind of a wide range of skills within these games, that you can do better if you play well versus those who may not be as experienced with the game. And we're trying to make sure that there are options and ways that people of all abilities are able to have fun.
I am very accustomed to hardcore in ARPGs, so I like to play super safe. I just kite. I like playing ranged characters, and I just like to kite. So I'm sure I could kill this boss a little bit faster. He's not even at half yet, but I don't want to die, man. I don't want to embarrass myself on stream.
So a couple other questions have been asked in stream. You'll notice that he's using his Digitus that does this big claw thing that comes out. That is the basic attack from his primary weapon that he's got equipped. That's what the left click is doing. And yes, we have a wide range of how those basic attacks work. The Digitus is the most unique of them, that does this medium range area effect attack with this like ghosty hand. But if he had a staff out and was doing the base attack, it would be a smaller cone, higher damage, less frequent attack. And kind of that choice of what type of weapon you carry will really have an impact on what style of attack you would do.
Awesome.
Someone's asking about how many spell slots we have. We have consciously made a decision to limit how many spell slots people have for active skills. So those 6 buttons down there are our limit right now in the game, and that's what we're planning on keeping. This game plays pretty well on controller as well as mouse keyboard as a consequence, but we want you to be making strategic choices about what things you're going to equip and what things you're going to use. We find that even with 6 slots, most players actually only blast and play with maybe 2 or 3 of them, and save the other ones as the big, oh my goodness, escape skills, or summons, or more strategic tactical things that they do. But nonetheless, I don't think anyone should be too concerned about 3 being smaller, 6 being smaller, because goodness knows people play MOBAs for decades, and they have 3 or 4 abilities. And so, like, you can still do a lot and have a lot of depth and variety with 6 choices and 6 things available at your fingertips.
And you can customize those too, right? You can select out of a list of how many that are available, and then you just kind of
you can set up and you can set up and change what those 6 are. It's not like you're stuck with those 6 forever, but we do want your character to be about a specific strategy and to be committing to a strategy. So some of our mechanics that we haven't announced yet do make you feel like you're making some choices about what skills this particular character is about.
Nice.
Everyone keeps talking about Duriel, which is hilarious because Duriel is not a Torchlight monster. It is a Diablo monster. But it definitely is a bug one that does have, this place does remind me of fighting Duriel in a small arena with a big old bug and lots of larvae running around. So it does have that kind of callback to it.
So I hit 50% here and it started spawning flyers. And then I hit 25% and it started spawning guardians now.
Yeah, now you've got larvae and guardians have been coming out. And so now you have to deal with like whether they evolve those larvae or not. Like he just evolved one. So or do you just go after the boss? You know, it's got a lot of choices here in a boss fight.
We're good. I think he's one hit.
Nice. Someone asked earlier about why should I go to lower levels areas to play. Well, there can be a couple reasons why you might go back to a lower level than where you've been playing. Well, we did the boss fight. For me to just say, hey, congratulations, you beat the boss without dying. That's awesome. And you found and there's the loot, big boss chest there too. You get to get the loot from it.
Oh, nice. Whoa, look at the DPS on that thing.
Yeah, that's a big upgrade.
All right, we're taking that.
So yeah, but make sure to hit the boss chest because that's an easy thing to forget. We still haven't required you hit the boss chest. But why do you want to go to earlier areas to play? Back to that question. So there's a couple reasons. One, you might have a friend who's just starting the game and you want to go play with them and you want to hang out and have fun there and still get something for it. So that's one big reason to go with early area to play. We might also start sprinkling around some crafting materials in earlier areas that you might want to go back and replay that area to do it. You might be playing a new character and want to play through for the first time. There's a lot of those kinds of reasons. Okay, right. I'm going through the questions you guys are asking, seeing what else I can answer here. The skill buttons are more on the left than the right. Okay. Yeah, there is a little gap on the right where there is not a skill button, and yes, that's another thing that we have not announced.
Oop,
it's a thing.
I cheated to get there, so.
Yeah, but we're not going to tell you what that thing is yet.
Hey.
Where we come to the Switch, we have a clear answer to that is, I don't know, we're still trying to figure that out. Is it expensive to respec? We've talked about respecing and what it would be, but we don't have an answer yet as to how one would respec or how expensive it would be. At the very least, creating a new character isn't that hard, and playing through some of these frontiers are relatively short. They're not the full game you'd have to work through, so another option instead of respecing for some characters would actually be to go make a new character. It depends, though. We'll have to look at how much respecs will be. Will there be a market system and how much? So right now we have no plans on, we have not developed or anything for trading. Well, neither markets nor direct player-to-player trade. Part of this is so that we want to make sure and preserve the idea that you are out there killing monsters to get the things that you want and that you will get it yourself. We would hate to undermine that with notions like maybe I'm out here just to get gold so I can get it through from somebody else or something like that. So we have a lot of things we try to do to protect against any sort of mechanics or systems that would stop a player from thinking, let me go out and get those items for myself. Have we thought of Transmog? Yes, we have thought of Transmog. We've been talking about Transmog stuff. We have not built the Transmog stuff. We have some ideas and plans for it, but it hasn't been made yet. So I think this game could have some really cool options for Transmog, given all the cool costumes and stuff we have. I personally believe that players should have some power over like how they look versus what tuning, how powerful their items are. So I think we will get to that and do that, but we haven't made it yet, so who knows how it's going to turn out.
Housing system called forts. Yep, I don't think we have too much to show on that just yet, but that is in the works.
We have done a little bit of work on PvP. People are asking about that. I have put a minimal amount of time on the side to make sure it's not broken. And it is possible for us to turn on an area and say this area you're playing in is PvP. But honestly, we haven't turned it on in any areas other than my little experiments and side projects. So it's not the main focus of our game, but it is something we are willing to and able to support and keep trying to fix things related to.
Very nice.
But it's definitely not like we're designing all the skills and stuff with PvP in mind or anything like that.
Ooh, here we go.
Okay, so somebody's asking about quests and whether they're linear and stuff. So it's a great question. So when we're talking a lot about doing this horizontal content, this idea of having separate frontiers with separate progression in each frontier. And so each of these frontiers has a relatively linear set of quests through that frontier. However, when you go to another frontier, it has another set of quests through that frontier. There are some account level and kind of higher level or fort level quests that are kind of span and go across frontiers. But generally, we've got linear quests through the frontiers that kind of gate you in, from just running to the end and also give you goals along the way of things to do within that frontier so you kind of know where to go and what to be doing next.
Sweet. There was a question about the Overheat Bar. Yeah, that's the mechanic for the Forge.
Yeah.
So there are some skills that build heat and other skills that consume the heat to do increased damage.
Right. So the whole feel of the Forge is that kind of build up and spend kind of mechanic. Build up with some skills, spend it with other ones. We have a few different options for how you spend that heat. And then the one we're showing here, I believe, is not the Shotgun Blast. Which one are you using?
Mode.
Oh, Vortex Bomb. Vortex Bomb is one that pulls everybody in around you and does an explosion right underneath you. But we have other options that are more ranged and have different style to it. Oh, someone's asking if you can enlarge the map. Actually, let's show off the map. Once you get a chance where you're safe, that's another great way of talking about kind of how the world's laid out in horizontal progression. So that is the mini map that you can see that shows kind of the layout of the current area you're in. And when you're in one of these public areas where other players are going to be running around and playing, we reveal the whole thing, because we think of the public area as being more about getting from point A to point B, and more about how to trying to get things done, and some grinding there, but it's not really about exploration like it is in the private areas where you and your party play. We also, as he clicked, you showed there's a whole map that shows the larger world and kind of what place you are in relative to that larger world. So you can kind of feel where you're progressing through this frontier and what other places there will be within that frontier. We still have more to flesh out there. We have more icons to put and all that, but we have this for each of the frontiers to give you this feeling of a larger world and a larger place and where you are within it.
And it looks like there's a progression on the map, too. You can see we're in the baby area here.
Yeah, you can see the little path, the road that's going through it.
As you get further into the Goblin
camp.
And
earlier in the stream, he was actually near the end here where you see these little more kind of river and lake areas that are completely different.
Awesome.
Okay. Right now, materials are not something you stack in the bag, but it might be we end up stacking in the bag. I'm not sure yet. There'd be gems. I love gems. Someday I'd love to have them in the game, but we haven't done that. Will it be when we enlarge the map? We did that. I'm reading all your questions here. Give me a second here.
Let's go to a more challenging area, too. There we go.
So it is not true that there's a little confusion. I see somebody in somebody's questions about whether each class goes to their own frontier. The classes are separate from the frontiers. So you can take any class into any frontier, and so you can play with your friends in the new frontier because it just came out and maybe they're new to the game. You can go back and play a frontier you've been playing for weeks and weeks because you love it. You can take one of your new friends to a frontier you like a lot. Your items get leveled down so that it's appropriate for you to play with them. All that stuff is supported. The idea is to have all these different rides in all these different places that you can go on and advance on separately.
Nice. There was a question about if you find someone out in the world, can you invite them into one of your dungeons?
Absolutely. So we're working on improving our party stuff, but basically one of the reasons you're out here meeting other players is that hopefully you'll talk to them and get and form a party, go play together, and maybe form some friendship and a reason to keep playing together.
Oof. I'm in a pretty high level zone, and my gear is not up to snuff for this one. So I do have crazy resistances, but these guys are going to do a lot of damage to me. And I'm not doing too much damage to them.
This guy's, just portaled in. Okay, some people are saying, hey, we love that there's a robot. Yeah, robots were crazy. It was kind of a unique thing to us, and we spent a lot of time trying to find the robot that has the right kind of charm and feel and style that matches Torchlight and looks fun to play. So we've been really excited with how it's turned out. What's the max level of a frontier? That is a great question. We're still trying to figure that out. So it actually, we might have each frontier have a different max level. It's possible. We are still trying to kind of see how far the content goes in each frontier, how much to stretch what we have before it feels repetitive. And it's definitely true that some of our current frontiers have much more content, more levels, more places to go, and more stuff to do than other frontiers. And so we're going to keep trying to grow them so that they work so that works out and is equal and makes sense. But we do have the freedom to have a different level cap in each frontier. We can also extend that level cap, though, with the map works, letting you replay pieces of that frontier at higher levels and get higher level items, even if the quests and boss fights might not support it beyond that point.
So I just got a piece that dropped. It looks pretty good, but I can't equip it yet. Are we able to talk about
Yeah, let's talk about that. So if you can
this?
see on the screen down below at the bottom of the item, it says requires Goblin Armor 21. We might change how that's phrased, but the idea there is that we're going to have these skills that you buy with your skill points that let you equip higher and higher level items within a frontier. So, part of you spending your skill points is committing to and advancing your ability to play within a specific frontier.
Nice.
And so, right now it's just armor versus weapons, and you're just kind of leveling those up so that you can equip high level stuff. And we have to do this because we don't have things like character levels and strength and dex stats and things like that to limit what you can carry. Otherwise, what would happen is he could have taken his Dusk Mage, thrown all of his stuff into his stash, and then gone with his forge, grabbed it all, and just gone and played high-level Goblin area. So we needed some way for you to kind of commit to and advance and increase your power within your capability of playing within a specific frontier.
Nice. These are some Infernal Warriors immune to bleeding, as you would expect a skeleton to be. It's pretty cool. I haven't seen these guys yet. I do have a lot of fire resist, so they're not doing too much to me. Okay. I don't have much physical resist. Ooh, I can't tank the zombos.
Let's see. Will you be able to teach spells to pets? We've like I said kind of earlier in the stream, we've got lots of dreams and ideas of what to do with pets. We definitely want them to feel like they're part of your strategic kit and part of your strategy as a character is the things you've done with your pet. But the specifics of how that will work and how that does, we're not ready to talk about yet.
Cool. And there will be
shared drops
more
versus
pets.
individual drops. I've seen a lot of questions about drops in multiplayer. Okay, so yeah. This is all individual drops. Anything you see dropped on the ground is yours. No one else can see it. They don't know what it is. You don't have to worry about someone ninja looting you. It's all just within your power. It's all your thing to pick up. Will we create side quests or environmental quests separate from the main one? We have a wide variety of quests, some more required and some more optional. We have the map works and phase dungeons, which can have their own goals that will feel a lot like a quest. So I think there's going to be kind of a variety of different goals for you to go out.
Sweet. And we've seen some of them here in the quest log. I don't think I've been really doing them. I've just been kind of cruising around and fighting things. But yeah, there's going to be a large variety of quests for sure.
There's been a lot of questions about mods. There's some people helping answer it as well. In general, mods have done amazing things for Torchlight over the years. It has been something that has added new life to this game. It is something that has kept players coming back, giving them new things to play, new things to do, new things to try out, and that is so awesome. We are making an online game right now with a team that's kind of dedicated to continuing to add to, service, and improve and grow the game over time. That does not mean we necessarily can't do anything mod related, but it does mean that some of the needs and the things that mods have done for Torchlight are being taken care of. However, we're still talking about ways we could do stuff where players can contribute to the game, add new content or create new things for it. We don't have any specific plans to announce about that yet, and we haven't really done any work directly to help with it yet. However, we are using Unreal Engine 4. It is not an unknown thing. It's a toolkit that is available for other people to be able to do some things with. It's now a matter of kind of when do we do what. And honestly, right now a lot of our focus is just getting the game experience we want to have ready to play for people to be able to play from home and for us to get the feedback and learn what they like, what they don't like, and how to improve it, and get the fundamentals of the game in place.
Yep.
But I can imagine a day in the future where we do consider and could do things with mods. We just don't have that plan figured out, and we don't have the time yet to start.
And that's definitely going to be something big for us, especially once we get to the beta phases. We're definitely going to be looking for feedback from you guys. We want to know that the game is fun. We want to know what you think could be in the game. And of course, within the limitations of what we can design, you know, it's a relatively small studio. We don't have infinite time. Yeah. But yeah, we love hearing what you guys have to think.
The other thing I hear a lot of questions people are asking about is just monetization and the money stuff. We have not announced anything yet about our business model, and we're not ready to do that yet. This is not the right time or forum for it, but we will definitely be talking about it and sharing it with you. We just want that to be a big message in of itself.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right.
Let's see.
I think I'm going to try the boss as the Forge. I'm probably not going to be able to kill it, but we'll see.
Some people are asking about whether they could transfer things between accounts on console and PC. We have not talked about whether or how we could do that yet. There's always some sticky points with each of the console owners about how all that would work and how we associate those accounts, but that has not been a focus yet. But we will definitely be thinking and talking about that. Mm-hmm. Let's see what else. Do we have like big world bosses and things to fight and bigger challenges to go against for multiple players? We've been trying to figure out the right way to really create a challenge that multiple players will realize and go after on their own. we found that amongst our studio, when people are playing, that when we put a really big challenging monster in the world, most players just think, oh wow, that's going to be hard. Few of them think, hey, let me go get some buddies and see if we can do this together. So we need to find ways to make it feel like, well, let's get some buddies and do this together. So we're going to have to work on giving that feedback and UI and methods that make it feel like, yes, there's something we can all fight. Having said that, we haven't done it yet, so we'd love to get that in. We'll see when it comes.
Cool.
Some people are asking about in-game. So people think about in-game as the kind of activity that you do when you've done all the other stuff. And so part of our answer to that is this horizontal progression, this idea that we're hoping a lot of players, when they've experienced a lot of content, are going back to previous frontiers and trying to get the best gear they can in each of the frontiers. The other things we're offering for you to be doing would be like these new frontiers with different rules that we would have, like I suggested before, where we would have like a hardcore frontier and things like that. But basically, we're trying to find ways for you to mix up, match up, and play the content in different ways with higher challenge and in different places as a big part of the end game. Let's see what else.
Yeah, a lot of great questions, guys.
Yeah, good questions.
Out.
We're only showing these 2 classes a day. We want to save talk about another class. It's another big thing we can go through. We have a lot of people, again, mentioning Matt Ullman, and it's awesome that he's got the name recognition and stuff that's there. He is doing our music. The music you're hearing is from him. It's been awesome working with him. He's still doing some great stuff.
Okay, now this fight's about to get insane.
If you play with friends, are the monsters harder than if you play solo? It's a great question. It's something we've been going back and forth on and trying different things with and have a wide variety of opinions about in our office. Within the studio, we currently, where we are today when it comes to adjusting the difficulty of monsters with multiple players around, is that we are making the champions and bosses more challenging when there's more players, but not everybody else. Oh, dude.
Oh, no. Okay, I'm good. I only have 2 health pots.
Okay. But I still worry that that's making it a little bit too easy. But for players that are together, that they'll just be a big murder ball. But we'll see. We're still kind of playing with the levers and the pieces we have for that. People are asking whether there's an archer class. They're asking all sorts of questions about classes. And I'm just going to have to just give a really lame answer of, we'll announce the classes when we announce the classes. I can't really reveal with it.
Dead.
You spin out of it.
Oh,
spin out.
I'm trying.
Spin out.
Oh, okay.
Spin to win. Okay, and we've talked about trading systems. Right now, we're talking. The only trading systems we're kind of open to at the moment is which we have not made any of. Oh, don't die.
I'm trying not to.
You're out of potions.
I'm out of potions.
Okay.
This is an insane amount of things.
Yeah,
I'm regenerating health slowly.
I have a feeling we might have
it's not looking so good for
some people are asking about trading. We again are really focusing on just you needing to be able to get the cool items for yourself. Oh man, there's just
I need to
more
vent.
monsters.
Oh, I'm dead.
You're dead. You're just dead. Just stand there and take it.
Oh.
Yeah. That you get the items for yourself, and when there's online trading stuff, there's all sorts of that kind of item game and item power creep happens. We are looking for ways for you to indirectly trade with players, to be able to do things through a vendor indirectly, not like take my legendary item and sell them to them, but more like provide things for a vendor that then you could get benefits when people use your vendor. But what gets sold would be something that we picked. The other thing we've talked about but haven't done anything to make is being able to do things like what Diablo 3 does, where if I was playing with you and the item dropped while we were playing together, that there's some limited time that item could be traded. We haven't made it, but that is something we're open to, but that's not something we've worked on at all.
I'm in a really interesting situation here where I have higher level Goblin Gear, but it doesn't have the poison resist on it. So while this could be giving me more physical resistance...
Yeah, you're not getting enough poison resist at all.
Yeah, and it has more health.
So you're taking all the... Basically, we're seeing in action someone taking a character from one frontier into another one to try to fight a boss. Yeah. And some things are working and some things aren't working great. And frankly, they're going to work even worse once I get to the editor and can change the spreadsheet. because I don't want like the Goblin Gear to just be level 7 when you're fighting the boss. It should be more like level 5 when you've taken a gear from another frontier into here. But in addition, you also don't have any poison armor, and that's hurting you, so you're also going to be pretty weak in that way.
Cool. I did switch to my poison armor, and I think I had higher level weapons too, so maybe this will go a little bit smoother. I'm doing way more damage already.
Somebody's asking if there are more. I can say there are more player classes in the works that we haven't announced. I'm just not saying what they are. We have built a shared stash system. That is working. It doesn't do everything we want it to do yet, but it is definitely something we're supported. Currently, when you get drops in the game, they are all ones that your class can use. We don't drop anything currently that is blocked out for your class. However, we only plan on having one type of weapon that is specific to a class. In the case of the Forged here, he's got a chest cannon that only the Forged can use. But otherwise, you should be sharing just about all weapons. And most of the armor is shared across all the classes. The Forged in particular kind of loses out there because he's got both locomotion legs and a hatch instead of having pants and boots. So he does a little less item sharing than other classes do. But in general, a lot of times you're going to find items with one character that would be useful for the strategy and approach that you're doing with another character. It just won't necessarily be made specifically for the other character. Will there be a reviving penalty, somebody's asking? Okay, great question. So the only penalty we currently have is those lifebound items going away. But we would really like to get around to doing the Torchlight style choices where you can pay different amounts of gold depending upon where you're going to restart. We just haven't built it yet, but we'd love to get to there. Will we extend Lifebound mechanic to skills and abilities? I'm not sure what that means. We're not going to take away your skills when you die. There's not a notion currently of a Lifebound skill that would be lost on death. That's a new idea to me, and I appreciate you suggesting it. But we don't currently have a plan to do that, but I'll think about it. Cool. Thanks for answering. Only reviving. Since the beta coming out, probably too soon for our taste, but too late for yours. We're focusing on it now. We're doing our best, but we're not ready to announce anything with it yet. Are there quests that can be only done by a party? We've talked about that. We might, but we have not built any yet. There you go.
I got clipped.
Yeah,
dang.
And you need more potions going in.
I know.
And you have the wrong gear. You just don't have the gear for this place.
I can do it. I just gotta play safe.
Somebody's asking about the item swapping item sets and stuff. That mechanic that we have in now might change, will probably change to being a different way of swapping between gear sets, but we do want to make it easy and convenient to swap between sets. It just may not be something you can do right out there on the field of battle like you can today. But because we're doing horizontal content where you've got different frontiers that would not require, but strongly suggest that you have different item sets for each frontier, we will make it easier for you to switch between them. But you might have to go back to your fort to do it, not do it in combat. And we have some ways that we think will make it cool and exciting to do. How many classes do we have planned? 4, 8, 10? Those are interesting choices. I'm not going to answer. What's on the bottom bar? What is that bottom bar? So there is a bar down at the bottom that has a lock on it, and a little bar that's next to it, and there's a little gap on the right of the other icons, and those are very interesting part of a cool feature. Okay, any chance you guys have rune word type mechanics in mind? I love rune words. Those are awesome part of Diablo. When we get to do gems and stuff, that might be a cool thing to add. We don't have that. We haven't done gems yet, but that would be awesome someday. What kind of weapon types are you going to see? We've already showed pretty much the whole width of the weapon types. What you're seeing now is a sword and shield, sword and board going on here with the forge. We also have a mace. The sword does a really quick, small area damage. And there's a mace that does single target, tons of damage. There's great weapons that do a big sweep that's a little slow that does a lot of damage. There's a staff that does a faster, smaller sweep. for damage. There's the Digis that the Dusk Mage has that does kind of a cone that's medium range. It's still kind of bigger than a lot of the melee stuff. And I think and there's the cannon on the Forge that shoots and does stuff. Those are all the ones I think I can talk about.
Cool. That's a lot of weapons.
That's a lot of weapons, though. And they have a wide range of stuff they do. Will there be a frontier for people that have already completed multiple frontiers? We don't currently have a notion of stacking, like you have to have beat these frontiers to go to those frontiers. That is not currently our plan. We're currently, oh man, you have any potions?
I'm so close, I have no potions. I just gotta let the regen happen.
Okay, but they don't drop potions in here, man.
I know.
You gotta bring in your stack of potions.
Man mode, I just gotta do it.
Oh
no!
I even lost track of what question I was answering because I'm just so nervous he's gonna get just wrecked again.
I got some really lucky blocks there.
What's the best pet? Okay, we're hoping there is no best pet. Our goal is to make sure that picking a pet is about what do you like and what kind of pet do you have at home and what's your favorite flavor for pets. So we will hopefully allow you to pick that pet and then have other ways to like make that pet part of your strategy other than which pet you picked. Is there dual wielding? We've been working on it, but it's not ready yet. Any system of itemization?
Another lucky block.
How much are the dev team involved in prior games? Are we asking? Hopefully, I assume you're asking about Torchlight games, but we have Max Schaefer, who's the CEO, who worked on it. We have Matt Ullman, who did music for previous Torchlights, and we have Justin Miller, who did the network stuff for Torchlight 2. But we also have quite a few people who were part of Blizzard North. They're part of the history from before Torchlight of doing Diablo 2 and some on Diablo 3. I was a project lead for the Diablo 2 expansion pack. We have engineers also and several developers who are part of doing work on things at Flagship Studios with Hellgate London, and we have people who've worked on Marvel Heroes. We've got lots of people who've done lots of action RPG stuff.
Got a vent. I was so close.
People are excited to see the buggy monsters. Crafting. Will there be other things you can craft and stuff? We have some crafting in there. We haven't shown off a whole lot of it yet, but there are ways we've shown how you can get some resources like wood and stone and stuff, but we haven't really shown the full power of crafting. I was actually working on relaying out the crafting UI this morning.
Nice.
So hopefully I'll make that better this afternoon. There'll be more than one server for regions. Right now we're planning one server, but we will see if we get more. If we need to do more, I think we'll probably learn a lot through alpha and beta about how we have to arrange our servers to make it a good experience for people. Will there be item sets? We have not made what would be considered an item set where you have to have, if you have 3 of this item, you unlock this other bonus, that sort of thing. We definitely have planned and built items that look like they go together and match and look cool together, but we have not built the notion of if you have these two together stuff. And it's not that we will never make those, but I kind of have a bias against them because I've seen in some games that when you have a big emphasis on the item sets and you go too far with it, you really constrain what builds the players can have in the end game because you might be saying to players basically you have to be putting these items together in order to play well at end game. And I don't like that. I prefer players to have some personal ownership over the strategy they have, this feeling like they put together these items for their strategy.
And this item set that I created for this character is straight from Hyvid, and you can see it has the carapace on it, and it looks like it belongs here. And there are different colors for each of these too, which I thought was really cool. So I got to pick which colors I wanted.
Yeah, you can get different color sets together. We've done a lot of work on making them where we can adjust the color palette for each item pretty easily. So we can do a lot of cool things with that someday. People are asking about bag space. Is that going to be playing a role? We have your pet that has a bag too, just like Torchlight in the past has, so, and send it to town and sell stuff so it pulls some of the pressure off of bag space. But there definitely is a limited amount of stuff you can carry at a time. We do want you to go back to town sometimes and kind of have that commercial break from activity and be able to check on other things and kind of take a big breath before going back into the fight. Let's see.
I blocked some of that though.
Yeah, some people are pointing out some opportunities like community-made item sets and things like that. You know, I think those are definitely a part of making modern games that would be cool to support. It just might not be something we can support right out of the box. Like, it's something we might get to. Full maps.
Jesus, this guy does so much damage.
Our maps, the thing we're doing, yes, we've talked some about maps. We haven't talked that much about them, but we have a MapWorks feature. You've seen some stuff with Phase Beasts, making random areas. We do definitely plan on doing more with that. Looking gear sets. Will bosses be multiple elemental damages? You will probably see bosses doing at most 2 elements. Here we see a huge emphasis on poison, but I think you'll also be seeing. Oops, I'm hitting the mic with my arm. It's bad. We may see some physical damage here too, but we don't. I don't like having it be that you need a prismatic set of armor that can be against all kinds of elements for all situations. You do know when you're going into this fight, it's mostly poison and it's mostly against Hyvid, so prepare for that.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
I should have been prepared for this.
Will there be items that buff or change specific skills? That's a great question. So we are in the middle now of getting, making things like that happen.
Okay.
We've also talked about having passive skills that help out with your skills. So we are trying to put together all the pieces that you would need to develop a specific strategy for your character. And so we're trying to do that with passive items, with items in general, with legendary items, with your skills, and a few unmentioned things as well. And we want you to be able to put all that stuff together to say, I am all about crit, or I am all about this or that strategy as a player. And we hope that we build enough of those strategies that when you that you can find some strategies in between that we did not design that are still cool and exciting. Can you wear items from all zones and it not be really bad? So I think it depends. I think you're going to probably find there might be some legendaries and stuff that you can get from one frontier that might still be part of a strategy you want in another frontier, but I doubt you're going to be able to fully equip yourself with items from other frontiers and feel effective in the current frontier. It's possible. I could imagine players making that a challenge for themselves. But in general, we're going to encourage you to have at least some or a majority of your items be from your current frontier in order to be effective.
Cool.
We do have, some people are asking whether we had artists or graphics team that worked on Hob. We actually, this is a little known story, we actually had some of the guys, after they were done with Hob, some of the guys from Runic were helping us with animations, with UI art, with concept art, with models that are in the game and that we're using after they were done with Hob and before Runic closed. We were working really closely with those guys all the way through, and we've been showing them the game, getting their opinions. We really respect and appreciate the work they did, and they have done some stuff specifically that is in the game. What's our min spec? Somebody's asking about. My graphics engineers would love for me to help answer that. We still don't have it answered, but we do want this to be something you can play on inexpensive hardware or old hardware. We just haven't finished doing all the work on it yet. How is Perfect World planning on making money from the game? From you guys, enjoying the game and helping us continue to go. So we are still haven't announced how the business model works, but know that this is a plan that we've been coming up with and is the way we want to make the game.
Yep. A lot of these long-term questions, we'll have answers for those in the future. We're still a little bit early on a lot of those topics. We just want to come out here and answer as much as we can, and especially show you guys like
horizontal progression
and what's going on here. Me getting absolutely wrecked by this boss in the new Hyvid Frontier.
Okay, I've seen a lot of repeat questions, but I'll try to answer some new ones.
Okay, this is where things get really tricky. Oh man. All right, if I don't beat him this time, I'm gonna have to craft potions. Or actually, we might have to wrap it up. It's been just over an hour.
Yeah, how are we doing on time?
I think we're just over an hour.
I think your mic might have died.
Really? It looks like it's feeding through.
Okay, maybe.
I think I've just been so quiet, focusing in on this for the last couple minutes. Oh, he's gonna charge me. Okay, we're good.
Yeah, so
I gotta take care
to
of
kind of
these.
wrap up, hey, we've been talking today about horizontal content. We've talked about this idea that there are lots of frontiers in Torchlight Frontiers. Lots of different places with their own progression that are separate, where you build up a different set of items and have unique challenges, unique monsters, and a different experience. And these are things that we can keep releasing after launch, that we offer new places to go with a reason to go there, even if you haven't played through a lot of the game before. And then
Rip.
And this also is a way for us to offer new challenges or separate challenges from the rest of the game, where it has an individual and an independent place to progress and get more powerful. We showed a little bit about what that means when you take some items from one frontier and bring it to another frontier, how we lower the items, but we don't nerf them completely, but we make it where they're just more challenging. He's been trying to basically play with Goblin Gear against a bug monster, and it's hard. And so we're encouraging you to get items from that frontier in that place. It's not impossible, and it's not crazy to be able to do that. We also showed you how you could take items from at the end of a frontier to an earlier place in the frontier, and how we kind of squash the levels down to where you're still powerful, but you're not godly, and you're still going to get rewards as a consequence. You can still get gold and wood and stone and skill points and things for playing in those earlier areas with those items. So we've touched on a few other things. We talked about lifebound items. We talked about going into phase areas where there's phase items. We talked a little bit about how we're trying really hard right now to get ready for alpha, beta, this thing where you can play at home, but we're not ready to announce when it happens yet. But other than to say it probably is going to come later than you want, but earlier than we want, probably more on your side than on our side. We want to get something out there so we can be learning from you as soon as possible.
All right, I'm gonna have to hold that L.
Okay.
I tried, just don't really have the gear for it.
No,
Yeah,
that's
under-geared,
okay.
Don't have any potions.
It's the wrong. You're not geared for this place.
Yeah. I was able to do it on the Dusk Mage.
Yes.
I'm a little bit better with Dusk Mage. I haven't put too much
But
time
you also
into
had the
before.
right gear. You were from that
Yeah, that's
frontier
true.
with that frontier stuff, ready to play against that boss. So it was ready. So it was the right fight.
Next time use claws. Yeah, I know. I need to reevaluate my situation. Maybe
Yep.
get a different skills. Farm a little bit more.
Yep.
And then I'll be back at it.
Yeah,
and
you go back out
next
the
time,
portal,
yeah, next time.
farm before you come in.
Next time I'm just
You
gonna
also
deck
need
down
to
a
bring
Legendaries.
in some potions. is the
I
other
know. I
thing.
had 2 and I used them on the first fight. I didn't realize that was
Yeah,
happening.
limited potions has done a world of difference to our game of making it where you really care about getting hurt and playing well.
Cool.
If
Did I
someone's
get the
asking us to
achievement
play
from dying?
together next time, that would be awesome, but I'm so busy talking and reading that it probably wouldn't work. So
But that's a great idea. If you guys want to see some multiplayer, the next time we probably could do that.
We could have other
we can
people
get our
playing
team here.
together.
Yeah, so good feedback. Thanks a lot for that. Yeah,
Well-
next time we'll definitely see about doing that.
So great. Well, I'm glad we were able to answer some of your questions. Glad we had another opportunity to talk about horizontal progression and how Torchlight Frontiers is filled with different frontiers, with different challenges and different cool sets of items and places to go and things to do. And how this is a way we're going to add life to the game through the years.
Yep. So we hope we answered as many questions as we could today. If you guys want more information on horizontal progression, definitely check out the Reddit post that Jordan posted on Friday. So go to the Torchlight Reddit. It's torchlight.reddit.com or reddit.com/r/torchlight. And also GameSpot did a really cool exclusive preview. So be sure to check that out. It's on their website. They also tweeted it out, and we retweeted that. And they have a whole video too. If you don't want to read, you can just listen to their opinions and a little bit of details on that too.
So great. Thanks, guys. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks so much for hanging out. Definitely follow us on socials, because once we're ready to announce beta, we are going to be blasting that. And so if you haven't already, go to our website, playtorchlight.com, and you can sign up for beta. And when those invites start going out, we're going to make a big deal out of it. We're going to have a stream for all that stuff and everything.
And stay
too.
tuned for more news. We have more stuff to announce. We have more systems that we still are super excited to talk about.
Yep.
We had to do, we'll try to do them in order so it all makes sense.
Yep. Cool. Thanks a lot for hanging out, guys. And we'll see you on the Frontiers. Wave till we're out. Bye.